Baby, you know that when the trees say, when I say I love you, I mean it, yeah. They say me no yes, I to give you all. As you say, you sing a tender. Baby, you know that when the trees say, when I say I love you, I mean it, yeah. They say me no yes, I to give you all. Cause I just wanna love you. Ndaba kubasa wa square say, kumwe wangu wabigane. Dakarukutika come give me a hand. Cause na swear njikufunga. But I don't know. Tino pota na papi. Sometimes you call. And I don't wanna think. And sometimes you won't. And I just wanna think what makes it so cold. Baby, you know that when the tweezy say, when I say I love you, I mean it, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We are coming to you live on Facebook. This is SlyMedia TV, and we sincerely apologize for the late start in this live broadcast. Now, before we even start, I just want to salute you for all the views and comments you continue to send through the various platforms right here at SlyMedia. Last week, we went to the headquarters of the Movement for Democratic Change and spoke to the Secretary General, Mr. Douglas Monzora, and what a program it was. Now, this week on the show, tunampochinja nyaya mpichana. Pani nyaya inochikisa kutaura kune vakawanda. It's considered taboo in the society of Zimbabwe, and the Holy Scriptures also have a word to say with regards to the topic we want to discuss today. Trumbo batanyaya ima homosexuals as well as lesbians. Now, joining us to have this live discussion, we are joined by the programs manager of GAUS, that's Mr. Samuel Mutsunguri. Thank you so much for joining us on this live program.
Yes, good afternoon.
Now, who is Samuel Mutsunguri?
Well, Samuel Mutsunguri is a Zimbabwean, and I work for GAUS as the programs manager. I've been with the organization for the last 15 years, but I've also been part of GAUS for the last 29 years.
For the past 29 years. So, are you gay yourself, or you just represent as the programs manager?
I represent as the programs manager, but I'm also a gay man.
So, when did you discover that you were gay?
I think when I was young, I just didn't know the word gay, I suppose, but I knew that growing up I was always different in the way I expressed myself and I interacted with others, even from primary school. And for those that went to school with me from primary school up to secondary, they were not even surprised that I'm actually who I am today and claim to be today, because I've always felt that there was something that was different from the boy next door. You know, when you're growing up, you get to your teens. Whom then you're attracted to was also a struggle and a challenge that I expressed to different people. My family, I also expressed it to the church, the people that used to also coordinate different sects of my faith, but I also expressed it to my extended family, what my struggle was, and I think they also had questions with that. And I think over the years, what I've managed to do after I finished high school was to actually do a lot of research around why is it I was different, because I then got to know that someone like me who's attracted to people of the same sex is called a homosexual. So I did a lot of studies and research that I did among twins. For instance, this was done, I think I remember reading an article in Times which did a study among twins, and to understand why is it some people identify or had a certain inclination toward people of the same sex. And I think the question has always been, is this genetics? Is this how I was brought up? Is because I stole my grandmother's peanut butter when I was young, so that's a sin and I'm being punished for it? I had all those questions, and I think over the years that has been my cause to find out who I am. And I think I got to a point now where I'm more comfortable with myself, because I did face a lot of rejection, isolation, but at the same time I remain steadfast to actually know who I am as a person.
Okay, let's categorize this. You spoke about your experience at school. Mm-hmm. Let's move on to the family members, your parents. How did they take it?
Well, I think it was difficult, because I think my parents, especially my dad, used to express certain views to these issues. I don't think he I think he realized I was different in the way that I wanted to dress, what I wanted to look like in appearance, what I wanted to dress with. You know, I was more inclined to the feminine side. And I remember he used to have comments like, why do you act like a girl? Why do you want to dress like a girl? And whenever he goes to buy clothes for me, there were certain type of clothes that he wanted to buy, you know, the straight pants and the straight jackets. And I used to actually
And you were not comfortable?
I wasn't comfortable with that. There was, I needed something that I felt I could identify with that makes me feel comfortable with me, whether it was considered fashionable or not, but that's how I used to. And I think
so. You were comfortable in okay, let me talking about fashion, things like bras.
I don't think it had nothing to do with dressing like a woman. That wasn't the point. I wanted, if it's a pair of pants, it was something that I would consider unique. You know, you used to have those MC Hammer pens. I love those. If you had I think to these days we see the African print being used now, but it started a long time ago. I love those kind of things. I wanted something that was floral, things that were shiny, you know. But you know, if you walk the street, you see that a lot of men dress in these very comfortable but natural look kind of color. I was always unique in the way I expressed myself.
Now, if you're just joining us, this is Talking Everything with Oscar. Earlier on, I posted that we shall be talking to the girls members, and this is what we are discussing on the show. Very shortly, I shall be taking your comments, your views and comments, reading them as they are coming out. Saka, all right. Saka vabereki vakatogamuchira zvishuwa kuti instead of kuya nemuroora, for example, makatoya neumwe murume and vakazvigamuchira sei?
I think the difficult with a lot of us is that people expect that because I've come out to my parents that I think there's something wrong with my sexuality or I'm gay, automatically I'm bringing a boy or I'm bringing a husband to my parents. That's not how it happened, or that's not how it is anyway. It's about understanding the self and the struggle that you have, which I think I went through with my parents. My dad actually said to me, you know what, I think I understand that you are different. As long as you are happy, you are my child, I love you, you can be anything that you want, as long as you don't embarrass me. That was an acknowledgement to say he understood that I can never be like the boy next door.
So according to you, you did not embarrass your father?
I don't think I have. He's now late, but I think he was proud of me. My mom is still alive.
Proud of you being gay?
Yes.
Okay.
No, not just about being gay, because he doesn't see the label. He sees the person, and the person that he was able to put through school, the person that is always able to work through life and made a success of his career more than he thought I could be, given the fact that I live in this country where homophobia is quite entrenched within our society. He didn't think I could go far. It's either I'm rejected to a point where I was going to spend the rest of my year sitting at home. But I didn't do that. I also went to colleges, to universities, and studied in order for me to achieve what I wanted. I'm a happy person. I'm able to contribute to the livelihood of my family. I'm also able to contribute to society in the little ways that he has seen me being able to do that when I was still alive. Those are things that he's proud of. In terms of my sexuality, perhaps he was never there to see who else was I going to be falling in love with, which I think today maybe it's a misgiving on the part that life sometimes happens that way, that our parents pass on. But I still have a mother that's alive, that also has, coming from a medical background as she is, she also learned to understand that within the human species or animals or whatever, there's always that variance. And my child is, and if I'm to reject my child today, who's going to love my child? And I think as mothers, that's also a struggle that she had to go through, because, you know, she doesn't live in an isolate. She lives in a society where she had parents, extended family, who also had questions. Why is it your son is not married even up to today? And she had to explain those. And I think in her own way, she also had to come out to herself, to others, to say, I have a child who's different in terms of sexuality.
Okay, so how do we address you? Are you Mr.? Are you Mrs.? What do we say?
Well, when you're gay, it's not about you identify whether I never wanted to be a woman. That's not the point. I'm just a man who's simply born and realized that I'm attracted to other men. I'm actually comfortable you calling me Mr. And that's who I am. It has nothing to do with, I think the confliction that people have is men who are attracted to men want to be women. That's not the issue. I don't want to be a woman. I simply attracted to. That's the variance that's within the society, I guess within humans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then society, you spoke about family. How did society take it?
Well, I had different experiences. Because I lived in Hayden's suburb for many years, there were some that were actually comfortable with me because I actually started exploring about who I was and talking to it with my neighbors and friends when I was still quite young, around 19, which is I'm almost in my 40s now. And, back then, homophobia, I think, was less. If you look at the 90s, people were more curious to understand, so you're gay, what does that mean? So who are you dating? Where do you find other people like you? They were more prone to ask questions out of interest. And I think I've had people who have accepted me. But there were others who also had questions because of, remember, we live in a society that comes with different beliefs. You had people who would say, but the Bible says this.
I was about to come to
yes, that. The Bible says this. So how do you reconcile with that? And I say to them, you know what? If the Bible says, I think then I was young and naive, of course. If I was born in the image of God, and we know that the Bible says a woman is born out of a man because he had to take a rib out of the other person to create the other person. Maybe there's a part of me that's the woman in me is sort of expressing itself outwardly more than other men. That's how I rationalized it. And it was because I wasn't dating or sleeping with any men. I didn't think I was committing any sin. I was just different. Because even it then, I think in a whole lot of scriptures, which I think we can always do another conversation at some point, you do have a lot of chapters in Leviticus, for instance, that speaks of thou shalt not lie with a man as thou lie with a woman and so forth. Those questions, I struggle with them because I said, if that's what it says, and this is how I'm feeling, is it my parents who sinned for me to feel like this? Because like I said before, it's not something that started when I was older. It's something that I knew when I was younger. And if it was my parents, what did they do wrong? Or if it's about me, is it because I liked going into my mother's bowl of sugar and lick on it when I was younger? Because our parents used to deter us.
Okay, just hold on there. Let's go to the comments because this platform is very, very hot. Let me just read some of them as they are coming through. Tonderai Manakira, your dad is proud you being gay. Iwesha, Kwiswa Kumashure is a sin. How would you respond to Tonderai Manakira?
Well, I think the difficult with most people is that the moment someone says I'm gay, lesbian, or bisexual, they think about sex. Who says a lot of us are having sex?
Okay, so yeah, homosexuals who don't have sex.
Look at the environment where we are. Just what the caller is, or the person is actually commented.
Yes.
His assumption is that I'm already having sex.
Okay, I'm asking, as homosexuals, you don't have sex?
Well, I think some do. It's their prerogative to be able to do that.
If you allow me to go deeper.
I think that's, for me, I think that's too personal. That's not something that I would want to divulge right now. But I just simply want to say that the majority of gay people don't have sex. Who they have sex with, if a lot of the people are actually hidden because of such comments or such remarks that they get from the public or the distaste that is expressed by individuals. It's about being able to live with who you are as a person. I think that's where I'm coming from. I was able to say, if I am gay or I'm homosexual, as people would want to call it, I should be comfortable to know that that's what I'll always be, and I'm okay with it. And I concentrate on other things because at the end of the day, sex is just a minute part of my life. It's not something that I deal with every day.
Okay. Yeah. Modric tinokurovai manje mava kujairira nyika. That's a comment coming from Modric. Obet Chingojo, you say baba vake vachamukira chipoko. That's beyond embarrassment. Thank you so much for your contribution. I'll go back to Mkoma so that he responds. There's another comment coming from Osmond Osi Gangata. And Oscar Mugabe never liked this. And I think ED must intervene to stop this nonsense. Take them to Chikurubi. That's a comment coming from Osmond. Thank you so much for joining us. Justin Kasarota, type E Namadungwe. I beg, don't entertain them. That's a comment coming from Justin Kasorota. Leonard Tanaka Makoni, muchaita vana here nechingochani ichocho. Okay, Ndombo Mira Ipapo, I come back to you.
Well, I think the sentiments that are being expressed by the people that are following life are expected. And that's something that I've always grown up knowing and experiencing in my life. Because if you are not in my shoes, you're bound to get overly excited, angry, disappointed. And I think that's something that is natural. And I think even if you look at the way I talked about my parents and relatives, I don't think it was an easy road in the park for them to simply say, we accept you today because you come out as gay. I think even if I sit with you today, they still struggle with it too, and reflect and say, did we do something wrong in raising him? Did we do something wrong to God or to our ancestors? Because, you know, I come from a diverse belief. They still have those questions. So even when I told them or I expressed it to my own siblings, they were angry. And I could understand that, because I remember when we used to watch TV and gay programs come on TV, I would hear sentiments like, if my brother or sister come out as gay, I'm going to kill them. I'm going to execute them. They need to be locked up. They are mentally ill. Those are expressions that are natural to people to say.
The Bible also says that
at the end of the day, we're here.
The Bible says homosexuals deserve capital punishment. They deserve to be stoned to death. I'm quoting Leviticus chapter 18 verse 3. How would you respond to that statement from God himself?
Well, I think I wouldn't want to dwell much on the Bible, because I think it will require other experts in that department. But I can simply say that if it is aimed at homosexuality, the Bible has a lot of other things that it says there in terms of who could be stoned. Are we doing that today? I think the world has changed. No one is stoning anybody. Even we are even talking about not having the death penalty, for instance, as a country. It alludes to how the world has evolved in actually speaking the gospel of love, inclusion, and actually diversity, which I think Jesus brought to say, who are you? If you ever have not sinned, throw the first stone. Those kind of things. So I think we've actually moved on. I wouldn't want to dwell much on that.
Let's go back to your comments. This is your program, Talking Everything. Ronald Mawire Terry, twice I'm seeing this girl doing interviews. No publicity is bad publicity. These guys are pushing their agenda. That's a comment coming from Ronald Mawire. Thank you so much for your comment. Emmanuel Junior Banda and the Oscar Uchanyengwa. That's Emmanuel Emmanuel Junior Banda. Thank you so much for your comment. Lucky Jackson, you are lucky Mugabe is gone. Otherwise we'd have had police waiting for you after the interview. Even Oscar as well would have been in trouble. That's a comment coming from Lucky Jackson. Thank you so much. Lamek Kesi Masinaro, Oscar, be careful, unogona ngodiwa imomo. Casper CK hanzindaisha ya kuti Vaseline irikupera sei mashops izondimi ndi Casper and murupedza Vaseline mashop nenyaya yehungochani.
Well, I wouldn't know about Vaseline because I've never used Vaseline in anything except putting it when I was still young and my mother used to rub it on my bum. But what I just want to say is that I know people think that during the former head of state, gay people didn't exist. As I indicated earlier, GAUS has been in existence for the 29 years. We have been to the courts, of course, where we've also challenged the legality of the organization, and actually we are a legal entity. We have always existed. I respected him that he had a position, but you need to understand that in society there are a lot of things that we agree or to disagree on in the way we live on in our daily lives. It's not always that everything that you do in your life, even as Oscar, I accept everything that you do. There are certain things that I actually find very distasteful. And I think I still respect you as an individual. I think it comes from the fact that as society, we have some level of tolerance that we need to express, and a level of inclusion that we do. Because you need to understand that as humans, we are as diverse as we can. Black people were never liked at some point, you know, in this country. And I think we've passed through that. It's because people who today see our color, even all over the world, I hear racism, for instance, in America, is because people who don't identify with our color still hate us to a point where a lot of African Americans, for instance, are incarcerated. And with the videos that I see on social media of black people being hammered on by, for instance, by police, it's just how the world is. And I think it's about tolerance that we should be promoting as a society, regardless of how we may view certain things that we're not comfortable with. I don't think gay people are actually to change the status quo of the world. We are just a very small population among the broader population that are just different. And I just want to say that the reason why sometimes we speak, like what some of the callers were saying, they need to be taken to Chikorob, is that we have a right to speak and seek the support and help that we need.
Okay, let me
from
go.
Society.
I'll come back to you, Mkoma Samuel, or you said I should call. It doesn't matter whether I call you Mkoma or.
It's fine. Mkoma is what I'm comfortable with. It's still fine. Yeah.
So let's take a social outlook. Timboita experiment.
Yeah.
Tishenam public toilet. Mlopinam gents and mlopinam ladies.
I, as a person, use the gents. As I indicated earlier, it is my sexuality. Being gay has nothing to do with me wanting to be a female. So why would I want to go and use the female toilet?
This is talking everything. Let's go back to your comments. Remember, we've got Mr. Samuel Mutsunguri. He's the programs manager with Gauss. Let's go back to the comment section. Lamek Kestimas Nar Oscar, be careful. Ask him which kind of man is he attracted to. That's a comment coming from Koban. You laughed there. You maybe want to come through.
Well, I think like all people in this society, we are all attracted to different people, whether they are light-skinned, brown-skinned. Personally.
Yeah.
Well, it's something I'd rather keep to myself. But you are safe. You are safe.
Oscar,
well, that's something I need to process. Perhaps an intellect, someone very intelligent who is able to challenge me, because I find that attractive. They can be as big as I am, I suppose. A gentleman will be fine with me. They don't have to act in any funny way, but as long as they have respect and they have goals in mind, they are self-driven, hardworking. I think that I find that very attractive in a person.
Koban Wapinduru, thank you so much for joining us on this live platform. Let's go back. Smart Dakwas and the double exhaust. Thank you for getting in touch. Justine Kasorota, not the woman in you, but the devil in you. That's Justine Kasorota. Laban Odiambo Waloga, so is he a she now? I think he has answered that one. Mushawalen, so Oscar itivaende kuma barracks vanoitwa ikoko cause masoja anenzara ende vasakanganwe kutakura Vaseline. That's a comment coming from Mushava Lenso. Kudzanaita Fumane is also joining us. Thank you so much for being part of this live broadcast. Lucky Jackson Zanzi Heshe. Zanzi na Aaron Spuma Zanzi, stop defending something wrong, Mr. or Mrs. Seek help, please. Let's take it from there. How do you respond to those comments?
Well, I think a lot of people in our community have sought help elsewhere, and I think also that is where girls come in, to be a service provider that is able to provide that help. A lot of people who come to us are parents, friends, brothers, and individuals who are confused by their sexuality. The families come in because they may realize that their child may have a confusion in terms of their identity or a sexuality, and they need help. So we sit down with them. We've got professional counselors and therapists that works with them. Sometimes parents would request that they need pastoral counseling, and there are pastors that are able to provide that support. If, as I indicated, people have a different belief system. Those that feel they need to be referred to religious pastors who are able to them, we should be able to say, go and attend that. They go through the various sessions. There are people who tell you, I've lived in the mountains for 40 days. I even lived with my pastor for 5 years to help me change who I am. And we also have people that have gone through traditional healers, because traditional healers have their own ways of using their herbs or and then you also have people, for instance, who would go to the apostolic faith, they also have their own rituals. There are different systems and rituals that are done to try and help individuals. But I think the difficult that is there is when you're in the family and cannot express it, you think, who could be the person I can speak to? That's where we are sort of a stopgap between the individual and societal systems that are able to help individuals. So basically, that's what we are there for. And people come from all diverse of life.
Okay, what are the signs? Anokuratiza kuti pamwe apaka I've got an interest in other men if you're a man, or I've got interest in other women if you're a woman. What are some of the signs one should look out for?
Well, I don't think it's something that is self-outwardly expressed, but I think for many years those that have actually bared the brunt of society are people that, for instance, men who are more feminine, who I think we used to have this prejudice that men who works, for instance, in hair salon, who are florists, who are fashion designers, are gay people, as an example, or it's a gay man, because but those are the minute part of the gay community. A lot of gay men, for instance, don't even have an outward expression of who they are. It's nothing to do with how you present your gestures. It has to do with how you find yourself perhaps wired, where you think
it's better to sleep with another man. As an example,
it's not about the sleeping. It's I like this guy. Just like when you meet, you when you met your wife or your girlfriend, you are like, I like her. She's light. She's funny. Maybe you met her at some place and you're like, I think I need to speak to her. And when you spoke to her, you actually found you were getting along and going out on dates. Realize if something in common, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, you are connecting, and you're like, you know what, I'm actually interested in you. It's not always, of course, that some would say, sorry, I'm not gay, but we can be friends, and that's okay. And because they are not interested in you, or they are not inclined to people of the same sex. But there are some who actually said, how did you know? I'm actually also interested. Let's go on this. That's how it's just like with general people do when they meet a girl. It's exactly how it happens.
I don't want to do much of the talking. I respect the views and comments, and let's go back to them. This is how they are coming through. Lorraine Mutimbanyoka is watching. Thank you so much for watching. Freddy Milazi, thank you so much for joining us on this live broadcast. Aaron Takunda Sangweni Azingava Varirwe Mukati, that's your comment there. Andy Amwenchi, please stop deceiving others with that nasty attitude. Sex is just a minute part of you, but it's necessary, so stop being on the fence. Take a side, Mr. Man. Disgusting attitude. That's Andy Amwenchi. Thank you so much for your comment. Lorraine Pofu Kumalo, munu ne munu na upenyo wake ugeiwe munu utore marimu omwe mangu, so why worry? That's a comment coming from Lorraine Pofu. Mux MV, people need to learn to live and let live. Iwe itazo onoda ne wako upenyu. That's a comment coming from Mux MV. Bernard Masenda anzi pavanogara pa dai baba wake vakanga vari gay ayo aripo here. Yes.
Yeah, I think it comes to the earlier question where you're saying, I think someone raised it and say, do gay people have kids? Yes, we have kids. They have kids. There are so many ways there are so many ways of having kids. Who says they have to be biological always? A lot of us are looking after our own siblings, the kids who have died, who have passed on maybe because of HIV or for some reason. They are my kids. I think if you look at our culture, the extended family is our family. So if I'm taking care of my siblings' kids, they are my kids. There are also options that are there. Surrogacy is one of them. You can have someone who carries your child without having, if you don't want to be sexually involved, there are people who do that. But there are also, if you look at our society, where homophobia is entrenched, is expressed through social media, as you see it, you find that a lot of people sometimes end up in heterosexual setting. Remember, there are also people who call bisexual. They also have kids, and they are able to continue their families. You also have, for instance, lesbian women that are also find someone who donate sperm, and there's also vitro methods that are used, fertility clinics that are also there to try and help someone to convince a child. It's not always that I have to reproduce if I don't feel like it. It's a matter of choice having children. That's why you find that some people have 1 child or 2 children, some have 13. It's us being able to have the right to choose the kind of family and the choice of having how many kids. So those options are available and they are there.
Are you married?
I'm not married myself.
You're not yet married, okay. Honorable Namburo, the world has changed. Mazimba, please move with time. That's your comment there. Mark D, DM Chisa, your happiness first. Do you, brothers? And as long as you are not hating anyone, that's your comment, Mark D. Josephine, Paswavaviri, yes, tell them people are so primitive. No, the people are very, very primitive. But no to gays and lesbians. Lusayo Nambachka, thank you so much for getting in touch. Big up Oscar, Wakuseri, Iwa SlyMedia, and Dova Nonza, Zurongwa Zagango Siana Siana, is Tripanongo Tsikisa Chete. Supiwe, Manko Sitolo, can gay marry lesbian then?
Well, I think in our context, we have seen that happening. Reason being, there's family pressure and expectation. I'm sure you also asked earlier on, and I think I had a comment where someone was saying, will his father be proud and so forth. There are some that are actually forced to get into heterosexual marriages. And instead of perhaps spoiling some potential lady who could have been married by someone who actually loves them, because sometimes when I force myself to marry a girl on the pretext of making my family happy, I may actually make that woman unhappy in the marriage because I'm not attracted to her or I'm not happy with her, but I've married on the basis of making my parents happy. That's why you also find sometimes gender-based violence happen because people are not getting along. Or the woman says, "Panonda kango garira imba, baba pano." We've heard those expressions.
Okay, Zimbabwe mngati ngochani dziri kuwandere dziri kudzikirere kana kuti figure changomira.
Well, I think you need to understand that in a hostile environment like ours, where people cannot freely come out and express themselves, you may think that the numbers are low. But, with the studies that have been done elsewhere, even in Africa, the population of people who are attracted to people of the same sex are between 0.2% to 2%. So you may actually calculate and say, what's 2% of 13 million in Zimbabwe? Those kind of people are actually attracted to people of the same sex. What only makes it different is that not everyone comes out and say it like I am today. And people always ask, why is it sometimes you have to speak out? It's not about what I do in my bedroom that I need to speak about. It's about what happens within the public and social realm that affects LGBTI persons or gay and lesbian persons. For instance, the right to employment. I may be employed within any sector. And the moment someone finds out I'm gay and I'm not married, because those questions will come up, how come you are not married? They are not seeing me with a woman, or I may pretend for some time until it comes out. They may call you and say, look, maybe our organization is premised on Christian values. I don't think we can continue to employ you. Regardless of how experienced, good I am at my job. Or if the right to my own privacy, what I do in my bedroom, it's my business.
Okay, choosing between these two words, godly and ungodly, would you say your movement is godly or ungodly? Which one would you select here?
Well, I think I'll leave that to God to judge me on that one. That's all I can say.
Memory, Kadangira Sanzi, God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Adam, and not Eve and Eve. Asaka, Jugua Geizo, Pasinazo, that's memory. Kudangirana, thank you so much. Atsitsi Munemo, Anzi Apongana, Kemurume Uyuko, Anodareiko, Kunzoko Kwakoma, Anzi Nimanagira Magaite, Simurungochan.
Were they expecting gay people to be ugly? We are just as beautiful as they come. That's why we have a diverse kind of people in this country, in this world. Short, beautiful, handsome, and so forth. But it doesn't mean we all follow that because I look good. I have to do what everyone else is doing or feel I'm created the same way as the next person. That's not how it happens. I think even if you look at our constitution, it says united in our diversity. It's respecting that we have people who are so different from all of us. Just because they've not come out and speak out doesn't mean they don't exist.
Tsitsi, and Senanin, unenge wapindurwa zvakanaka pandozvinzwa tsitsi munemo zansiyana neni. Bernard Masenda zanzi munhu uyu haazive zvokuita neupenyu hwake. That's Bernard Masenda. Okay, let's just take a short break. This is Talking Everything with Oscar. When we return, we continue with your views and comments. We'll be back very, very shortly.
At SlyMedia Productions, we offer live streaming services to companies willing to reach a worldwide audience. We bring you live studio interactive talk shows and interviews.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this live broadcast.
It is said to note that every day in our local papers there is a case of rape. Are the current penalties not good enough to stop perpetrators from committing crime?
But as we close, I've also seen or read in the newspapers that there are some people who are leaving your party. Why?
We live stream news press conferences as it happens.
We always last longer because we are revolutionaries, we are guerrillas. And today we have proved that we last longer. These neophytes who were using a marriage certificate of a married woman and a senior old man to try to take power.
Our engagement with ZEC, which is very clear, that ZEC has shown that they are not willing to be open to dialogue. They are stubborn and arrogant. They are opaque in their processes.
We have the capacity to live stream debates from various locations for a wide range of clients.
Welcome to this public seminar that has been organized by the Institute for Security Studies in partnership with Sapiens Trust and myself, Violet Gonda. We will start the first half with a question and answer segment where I will ask our panelists some questions, and then in the second half we will actually take questions from the floor, and also if there are any contributions from our viewers at home who are watching on social media, we'll also do the same. We are live streaming on our Facebook, on the SlyMedia Productions Facebook page.
So, coming to the issue of elections, there is jurisprudence that election petitions are not decided on numbers only. They are decided on numbers, or they are decided by the environment. If the court finds that the elections were not free and fair, as the first hurdle, the matter must end there, and the election must be vitiated.
The way you see that there was never a plan to win this petition legally is how it was framed. First order that he wanted, a declaration that the election was not free or fair. Second sentence, make me president. How do you do that? If it was not free or fair, how does the court make you president?
We follow them and help build Zimbabwe brand on a positive note. When you think of reaching the ever-growing internet audience with your video adverts, think SlyMedia TV Online. If you want to pre-package TV programs, documentaries, weddings and church services, think SlyMedia Productions, building bridges. Your TV on the go, anytime, anywhere, worldwide. At SlyMedia Productions, we offer live streaming services to companies willing to reach a worldwide audience. We bring you live studio interactive talk shows and interviews.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this live broadcast.
It is said to note that every day in our local papers there is a case of rape. Are the current penalties not good enough to stop perpetrators from committing crime?
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Talking Everything with Oscar, and Tukuramba Chitenda Nima comments kuya through. Big up to Mayor Justin Mashlahla. You're also watching this live broadcast. Maishanti as well as Karikas in Bare Hanzi Tukunagizwa Nechirongwa Rambai Mchendra Mberi. Memory kudangirana adzoka zvakara sanzi ko nai mudhara dai baba venyu vakaita ngochani maizovapa nyika here zvaranani muwande sejecha tivhire apo gay my foot. That's a comment coming from memory. Young Mike Evangelist nguva yamugabe naOscar wacho aitoenda kujeri ndo kuzikutaurika young mean Mike Evangelist. Thank you so much for your contribution. EPL Samakomva unowawanepi vanhu avako Oscar aiwa varimo muZimbabwe organization inonzi Girls tina programs manager vanoitwa Mukoma Samuel Matsukuri. Mukoma Samuel chimbopindura vateereri.
As I was saying earlier, people think that gay people don't have children. As I reiterated that we can have children. I think that the people always assume that because you are gay, there are no other methods of having children. And that's what I explained earlier, that there's surrogacy, you can co-parent with another lesbian woman or bisexual woman, you can adopt or just be somebody who takes care of the children of your own relatives that are there. And you can still be a father in that regard.
Okay, yeah. So what will the children learn from the parents if both of them are male?
I was brought up by parents who were heterosexual. Did I learn any different than my straight siblings? No, I actually learned the same things.
Define the word heterosexual for the...
Yeah, heterosexual are my parents who, a man was attracted to a woman only or a woman was attracted to a male. That means, is heterosexual.
Okay.
I was also brought up in that setting. I was brought up with my traditional custom, with religion, but today I'm sitting here and ended up being different. It means that in family, there's always that variance. So when we are raising children, they also have to have the same values. But what I just want to say is that people need to understand that there is diversity. No, are they values that are called in Chingocha and Doap? We are just like anybody else. Difference iripo pakuti chi.
Pakuti vamwe vari kurara nevakadzi. Ivi mukurara varume nevarume. Ndo pakasiyana nevamwe.
Ndo pakasiyana. Well, in that regard, a child has to understand as they grow up and find their own world that yes, there may be people who have a different sexual orientation than everyone else.
Asikomesero ere mwana.
Mwana asikomesero. That's the same thing you ask the viewers are listening to and now know that gay people exist. They are also learning the same thing. With the exposure that we have all over the world, people know that gay people exist. Let me just give it this way. In our arts industry, or a lot of clothes that a lot of us love wearing, even the Gucci's of the world, they're designed by gay people. How come you never question why is it I'm wearing Gucci or I'm wearing Lacoste and going around looking all flashy and never questioned who designed this? What value did you learn from wearing a Gucci and Lacoste? It's status and so on, designed by gay men and lesbian women and transgender persons. The best designers in the world that we also love about, of different products, including cell phones and so forth. They're designed by gay people. What values did you learn as a person?
Okay, for example, which ones? So that we just call a spade a spade. Which if you give us examples of some of the leading brands being...
Well, I think if you look at whether you're looking at Nike, Huawei, and whatever products you have on Nokia, they actually promote diversity, including LGBTI persons, as part of their team. It means those are techno people. If you go to what you call Valley in the States, where all these technologies are, they actually promote diversity. They have a policy on LGBTI persons. The wizards that are designing some of this software, they're actually gay people. We use them every day, but we never question what value are they bringing to you. Flashing our cell phones and, all this technological stuff, drinking the best beers and so forth. They're also created by people who are like me. But we don't question. So those are the values that we are talking about, the values that you expect. It's only when you think about the reference that was made about the Vaseline issue that we all cringe. But when we are walking into hotels that have been built at the sweat and the money of people who are gay, we never question what value are we talking about. That's the value the child has to learn, that they need to work hard, they need to respect everybody, they have to be who they are. Those are the values I was brought up with, and they have not changed.
Let's go back to your comments. Maria Furao and Satanism. That's your comment. Choga M. Vanongodam Daram Gabe Chete. That's your comment there. Rad Pakade. I think society has to realign their opinions. There are a whole lot of more horrible things that are happening. People are not commenting. That's Rad Pakade. Thank you so much for your comment. Ishmael Mutapa. Imagine interview Kumbare in front of my ghetto youths. That's Ishmael Mutapa. Thank you so much for your contribution there. Juliet Fola Bolumole. Who are we to judge? munhu ngaite zvikuda nyama yake. That's a comment coming from Juliet. Thank you so much for that. Valentine Maponga is watching. Thank you so much for joining us on this live broadcast. Philip Sevanda, I only give you my advice. Oscar Pambuka, that's Philip Sevanda. That's your comment there. Alex Boxilia Sabao, saka kutoxic kutori normal kwa muri mkoma, saka munu akatonwa supu ye paraffin ari normal. Kurwara accept kuti it's not normal, then we respect you mkoma.
That's what I love about this world. People have the room to express their own opinions. That's something that is even protected by our constitutions. Have your own right to conscience. You are right to express your opinion, and I think the viewers have the right to express their opinions, and I respect that. But I also want to say that people assume that because the conversation I'm having with you is in a studio, where are gay people living? The majority of people live in the ghettos. The population of Zimbabweans, 60% of our population is in rural communities. There are gay people all over the place. It doesn't mean just because I'm in front of a camera, that's where I dwell. I dwell in communities, I dwell in a society that is as diverse as the ghetto boys sitting on a bridge. Among the ghetto boys sitting on a bridge, one of them or the other could actually be gay. Just because they've not said it to you doesn't mean they're not. And some of them actually are homophobic, but yet behind we call them after nines, they are also sleeping with boys in the neighborhood. So we shouldn't always assume that they are in the suburbs.
Anzi muri 5 pa muri 5 papo murikona chirongwa vakomana veghetto 1 or 2 suspects. Okay, let's go back to the comments. And Elisa Mugugu zanzi kuseiko magay ese anima voice akafanana. I mean, your voice you would like to come in?
Well, I wouldn't know. Maybe it's a uniqueness that they've identified, and I do appreciate that. It's a good voice, I hope.
Thank you so much for that comment. Mercy Wilkes, since we started discriminating on gay people, have we improved our lives? Has it brought us happiness? What exactly has discrimination brought us? Mercy Wilkes, thank you so much for your comment there. Faith Nidza Makaza is also watching. Oscar, you've got a great chance of becoming a good journalist, but you are letting yourself down by not doing a research on how to interview. Be neutral and be fair. Don't lose your cool. Don't be one-sided. Interview and reporting is two different things. I appreciate. That's a comment coming from Philip Sibanda. We salute you for that comment. Tafa Alois Oscar ndizo namba dzema kozere idzo ndidzodzo munongotifonera kana muchida kuya pachirongwa. You've got a story idea, use those numbers on your screens there. We'll definitely get in touch with you. Now, course star Manzini is also watching. Unfortunately, homosexuality is a reality. Vamwe mutori married to a gay man or a lesbian woman. We need to accept each other. Who are we to judge? How would you come through?
Well, I think that there's a lot of truth in that. And I think because of the sentiments that you're already hearing from the public that are very negative, people then tend to hide who they really are. And that in itself creates what I call an intolerance within society. And to a point, a toxic society where people are not fully expressing themselves and reaching their best potential. I like what our current president is promoting, which is we are open for business, for instance. When I came out in the 90s, a lot of people left the country, and some of them were actually gay and lesbian people who used to run very successful businesses, successful companies, whether they were in printing, manufacturing, and so forth. But because of the homophobia that someone has referenced from our former head of state, a lot of people left. So we are simply saying, as a community, the reason I'm speaking out is that we need to protect people to be able to also build this country. We've got a role to play in building this country. Whether it's the arts industry, fashion industry, manufacturing industry, we have people that have skills and have potential, and they are Zimbabweans. But because of the environment that we existed before, where it almost becomes very difficult for anybody, you are suspected that you are gay, you experience blackmail or extortion. Blackmail, this is someone realize you are gay, perhaps married, and they will say, if you don't pay me this amount of money, I'm going to report you to the police. And I'm sure you've had myths and misinformation where people say, to be gay, you'll make money. A lot of people make money by blackmailing people that they knew they were gay. People had to let go of their title deeds, their business title deeds, their cars, because they feel, I have to protect myself and my family because I'm gay. And to do that, I'd rather lose this house or this car. That's where extortion comes in. And this, according to our laws, it's actually illegal. And when people then think about those kind of things, they're asking, should I come back home and reinvest and open a business because I have ideas that I want to rebuild Zimbabwe? So those are things that we are talking about to say, we are not speaking because we are asking to simply sleep with each other. Whatever you do in your private business, it's something else. But it's about being able to have the right to property, to express yourself, to associate, to assemble, your privacy, to health, education, without being discriminated. I've had cases where, for instance, on social media, you find young students that have been suspected could be gay because of their look, the way they express themselves. They are posted on social media. Do you think that child is able to reach their best potential, for instance, in school, when they are already being bullied, they are being isolated, they are being violated? Those are things that we need to be really concentrating about to build Zimbabwe.
Let's go back to the platform, the views and comments platform. Lilian Bwanya, Zimbabwe, I believe Mwari, Ngatirwire, Kuruzuru, Sodom, ne Gomorrah. No, that's Lilian Bwanya. Praise Mo, Nyamangara. That's your comment there. Simba Gurira, that's an African. It's not normal and against the will of God. Come say that, Anzi, come say that in communities. What's your take on it being an African?
I think what's an African is actually homophobia, the hate of people of a different sexual orientation. If people give themselves time to read and research, and not spend too much time watching TV, for instance, or playing on our phones, on social media, they may actually realize that homosexuality in all our African culture has always been there. It has been dealt with different ethnic groups in different ways. If people read the book, for instance, by Sylvia Tamale, who talks about African sexualities, whether you go to Uganda, which is the most homophobic, just like compared to Zimbabwe, I think, you realize that traditionally, gay people were even praised and be part of the culture. You go to other societies where they've always been used, for instance, in traditional ceremonies. In our culture, when you come back to Zimbabwe, you find that a lot of people that had a different inclination, we had a way of dealing with it. One of them could be silence. As long as I someone let's point a blind eye, because or would say I'm sure you've heard those expressions. Or someone would maybe murume and msana waka kusimba. Sometimes we didn't question what that actually meant, because we were not people who would want to interrogate issues of sex and sexuality. And what that fire would not ask Anjadzi, because we are too afraid or too embarrassed to even talk Nyadzi Pabunte. So it was a way of dealing with things that we didn't understand about. What's different now is that we are talking about it. And I think that's why I'm here, to open a conversation, a dialogue, so that people that have always remained marginalized in society come out and at least have a space in society where they thrive and are able to be supported by everyone else.
Maxwell Gamunorwa, asikuti so kana muri magay mose penis zomira dziri two here o ye one inomira then kurushure kwemumwe kovhurika. Just wondering. Maxwell Gamunorwa.
Well, I suppose Maxwell has an iPhone or an Android phone which is holding on social media. He could do a bit of research. There's a lot of YouTube information that he can read to and get that answer. It's available. That's why we have these technologies. It's for us to inform ourselves.
Go to hell, my brother. Tendeuka iwe. Uwane mkadzi uite vana kwete kufemerwa godzi nevamwe varume. That's Reverend Daniel Mugaviri.
Who says I don't have children?
Yolanda Chidziwo washaya kababaka. So that's your comment. Tino Takawira praised gays, Jesus, end times. Just come back, Jesus. We cannot see more than this. That's Tino Takawira. Thank you for sending your comment. Tsitsibara, his life, his choice. Those are your words there. Obvious Nyanda uyu avakutopenga chaiko. That's obvious Nyanda. Mnopenga?
I don't think I am. And I just want to reiterate that. What's unique about Zimbabwe, that Zimbabwe is the only one country, for instance, that will not have gay and lesbian people. every African country, we are not, you remember Africa is not a country, it's a whole diverse of different countries. There are gay people all over the world, including other regions. We are also part of the society, for whether I'm in Zambia, South Africa, and so forth. Zimbabwe is not unique in that regard. The reasons why we exist and we're here, I think, as I said, we leave it to God to judge me on that.
Obviously, Nyanda, I hope you've been answered there. Kuda kwashe mkululeko maanzu anzi kusasimba kwemsana or kusafaya kwemurume bedroom does not make one a gay. That's kuda kwashe mkululeko maanzu. Thank you so much. Memory kudanga irana anzi ngosha na idi kuita zidumbu. So mdara mombo faster muiteka sexy body six pack mdara wangu ndokutara kwaita memory. Stanford Musekiwa Murove Oscar asi uri ngosha nere sei usiri kumubvunza ndoda kuziva wamunzire ipapo ndakuzokutukai manje. That's Stanford Musekiwa Murove. Thank you so much for your contribution there. Tino pindura iwe zanzi pindura na tino pasidi nekuseka. Now, in as far as Zimbabwe as a nation is concerned, are we making strides in accepting diversity?
I think if you compare to other African countries, we are actually the most tolerant of LGBTI persons in communities compared to other countries. If you look at South Africa, for instance, there are always cases almost every other month of people that are murdered for being lesbian or what we call corrective rape. The statistics have shown that lesbian women are raped by men trying to show their manhood by raping lesbian women. They've even come up with a law that speaks to hate speech, but also looking at targeted violence towards LGBTI persons. In this country, I think we have less statistics of people that have been murdered because of their sexuality. We have people that are able to live within their communal lives, and people know that as long as because they've known that child growing in that neighborhood behaving in a certain way. So I think there's a level of tolerance. In terms of whether the laws have changed or not, I think the laws to some extent have remained steadfast with regards to the act. And you also find that in terms of engagement, we have actually had better engagement. People always make reference to the former head of state. I think we made more strides during Mugabe's time than any other time in our history. Mugabe was able to, the former head of state was able to express what he feels. And not only did it give publicity to start talking about things, like you said, that are taboo, but it then brings questions to family, society, religious group, culture, to say, do we have gay people? Where are they? Who are they? How are we treating them? When we look at the health sector, where HIV has been rampant in our society, it remains still extremely high. Part of it is perhaps because of that intersectionality I talked about, where you find that maybe a gay man, bisexual man is sleeping with men, but also have a girlfriend and a wife. So if we are talking about HIV, we assume my husband is simply sleeping with a woman, but probably that's not the case. So I think it unraveled certain things that I think was important for us to have this conversation. And as Zimbabwean, I think we are moving in the right direction in terms of talking about it. But I think the level of tolerance for me needs to continue to improve, not only on LGBTI persons. If I go to social media, for instance, Twitter, we have become so intolerant of different opinions, whether they are political views, social views, around development or economy. If I make a comment and I said I belong to this party, oh my God, people go wild to say, we don't want you, you destroy this country and so forth. And then you go to the other party, like, why are you sell out? And it's because of the level of intolerance that we have actually cultured ourselves to be, which was never a Zimbabwean value. I remember growing up, the value that I had was a communal life where a child, even if I misbehave, I was detained by my neighbor or my extended family without feeling, why are they talking to me like that? But I was also supported when I was different. That's what I knew growing up. But where we are today, you find that when I express an opinion and my position and my beliefs as a person who has struggled with sexuality, the hate that comes out is something astronomical. And I think that's something we need to revisit as Zimbabwe, to say, how can we have debate and dialogue with a bit of tolerance, because that's the only way we can move and respect the diversity, the cultures, the traditions that are as diverse as they come.
Tafa Alois, Nai Baba, vana munovadi imi masarudza kuve nenhengo imwe muite show pacharge office rank now. That's Tafa Alois. Tinotenda necomment yako Gainworth na Joy JC, but you are Mr. Se wachembera futi. Why do you want to be identified as a woman? My brother, Zimbabwe is fine as it is. We don't have to follow what other countries are doing. That's Gwyneth na Joy JC. Kuda kwashe nkululeko zanzi, even here in South Africa we discriminate gays. It's an African period. Stanford Musekiwa ndati vunzangochani kuti munona mata mwari munzira ra Jesu here.
Well, I think gay people come from diverse religious backgrounds and they have a right, like everybody else, to have their belief and practice their own religions. I think that's what our constitution is good about. They come from all denominations.
Okay, so do you follow God or you don't follow God?
I would want to comment on that.
You don't want to comment on that? Okay. Courage, choice, sense. Ko voice rakuita kunge mukadzi iro I demon chairo. That's courage, choice, sense. Maxo Gamunorwa courage hanzo yaonewo zviri pano. People are inviting each other to come join us on this live. Zanda Masha Matingo. That's why Sodom was destroyed. Why can't you learn?
Well, I think people need to read their Sodom and Gomorrah story very carefully. We are talking about concerning adults, not trying to violate issues around hospitality of the angels. We are talking about consenting adults if they decide to get into a relationship, that is. But we are also talking about people who are struggling with issues around gender identity, sexuality, or people who are born with ambiguous genitalia, who are intersex, that they exist among us. How do we have conversations where we are able to support them, regardless if you want to bring your Bible to them and make them turn straight as others would regard, be free to do so. That's why we are having this conversation.
You still need training, tutorials. Go to Tatelicious uneiswa mazamu nekudzidziswa makeup nekupfeka madirezi. That's Tinotakawira. Tsitsibara zanzi preach Zimbos, we are so intolerant of each other. It's so bad. Mashi Wilkes, you present your case very well, my brother. You show more dignity than some people using insults here. So who was brought up well? From comments, you have shown more grace than these godly fools. That's a comment coming from Mercy. Thank you so much for that. Mona Lisa Zulu, Christians are so judgmental. Are Christians judgmental?
I think on a broader base, yes, they are. And I remember a couple of weeks ago, I was driving home and listening to a radio show where women were calling in and discussing, I can't remember, it was almost around 6 or so, can't remember what was on radio, but they were talking about, do people in church, are they very judgmental of each other? And women were calling in and say, we are judged by other women, for instance. If I'm single, I'm accused of either looking at father so-and-so and so-and-so. It's almost like the church is meant to be a place of people who are holy. But from my upbringing and the learning that I had of religion and the way I was brought up, it's a place where those that are lost are trying to find themselves. It's a place of comfort. It's a place of you being able to communicate with the God. It's a place where you're nurtured and issues of morality are nurtured without judgment. And I think we have become the judge, the judge and jury on earth, instead of the Bible where it says leave it to God to be able to do that. Even when you look at to our pastors, for instance, or our priests, they don't judge you as a gay person. They come and try and advise you as a parent and try and provide you with tools to survive within society as a parent, as a pastor. Whether it's to say to me, do not engage in same-sex practice, or don't look at other men, do this or do that. That support is there. But it's the congregation that actually takes away that power for you to be a home that you can dwell in. It's almost as if people that sit there are actually holy, but it's not. There are other sins that a lot of us are perpetuating every day, but we get so excited when a certain subject is said about. And I think that's where I find that sometimes we are also hypocrites in our own way. I love everybody, whether you come from a traditional belief or a culture, because I've learned that as different as I am, I've experienced what it means to be hated and not accepted as an individual, to a point where a lot of us have actually attempted suicide. But then you come out and say, if I kill myself, who am I really pleasing? Other people or myself? So you have to make that decision and say, I can live with the expressed tolerance or dislike I may experience at some level, whether in spaces I might go to. But I also have amazing people that love me and have been in my corner for the last 40-something years that I've been alive. And I'm grateful for that.
It's all about your comments, and let's go back to them. Walter Chikove, Zanzi Namboshaya, let them live their life and learn to tolerate each other. That's Walter Chikove. Thank you for that contribution. Simba Gurira, and Basa, you just need to be disciplined. Simba Gurira, thank you so much for that comment. Christians are so judgmental, and let us be our Bible. It does not tolerate that. It's not, and it's the worst sin ever. That's a comment from Takawira. And mama warufaro do matangira kaita queen izvezvi vari kunakigwa muma 4-star hotel ku Sweden shinga unosvika. That's mama vamufaro. There's your comment there. Edman is also watching. Madungwe na sisi budi avo makasanganiswa pano kuna kubuda zvimwe. That's Lorraine Pofu Kumalo. Tumisani McDonald Mukondo ane Duve. It's funny how some are using the word of God to demonstrate hate which is against Jesus. The greatest of all commandments is to love one another. Now, okay, so as a nation, as Zimbabwe, how should people be tolerant to each other?
I think it's respecting the fact that we have all different views, different opinions, we have different colors, we have different sexual orientation, but we can still coexist. I wouldn't come into your face and say, love me, if that's not who you are. You have a right to say no. That's tolerance. If I approach you and said I'm interested in you and you said I'm not interested, just like what, for instance, women do. You approach a woman, she'll say no, I'm not interested, or she'll say I'm married, you're not my type, and all that. That's a level of intolerance, because how do you assume they are married or not? And if people from different, for instance, political parties come and sit on a table, they should be able to agree and disagree and still continue to live and build the country that we aspire for. And I think if you look at the motto of SlyMedia, it's building bridges. How do we as a society be able to live with someone who have certain ritual practices than my own? I may be living to an apostolic faith and I may try practice my own traditional medicines, which is part of our African culture, by the way. I should be able to feel comfortable and not be judged to say, but you don't know God. My God is through nekwe and be able kuroachikua and ndoro. That's tolerance for me, and we should respect that. Whoever will judge us after life, who knows?
Hanzi Natafa Alois Oscar, please ngadaire way kuna matapo. He must give us how they praise. Utara nemana matiro enyu. George Makoya Munjanja Hanzi uyu anorwara. That's your comment. Masatanist ndo vari kudya vanhu. That's Stanford Musekiwa Murove. Tendai wa Messi Hanzi ina hangu uye bodo itai henyu zvamuri kuita. Oscar, please ask him, can't he avoid it?
I think a lot of us went through life trying to find ourselves and correct what we thought was amiss in ourselves. Remember, when acceptance comes, it's not something that you simply wake up and say, I'm gay, and then you're on the street and say, I'm looking for another man. You try by means to find various ways of looking for a cure. If you look, for instance, in the States, they have what they call conversion therapy, which used to happen a lot of time. They use electro cells to try and kill your nerves there so that you don't get attracted. They use imagery so that you don't get aroused. They have maybe 12 steps like what people, Alcoholics Anonymous do. They pray and so forth to try and correct you. You have people, like I said, who go to different denominations, who will tell you, I went with my pastor to the mountains to pray, to fast, and stay away from the desire to love another person of the same sex. There are people who also say, I may not love the people of the same sex, but I feel I'm in the wrong body. I think someone made a reference to Delicious, for instance. She's a trans woman. She's someone who simply realized growing up that as much as she tried to have the masculine outlook that is expected of a boy, she realized that her gender and her biological makeup were not agreeing to each other. So she's a trans woman, which is not what I am. And they've also tried to go to psychiatry, which using the medical field. We've had people that have had testosterone injected in them to be more mannish because they thought maybe that's why I am Even doctors injecting themselves to say maybe I could be Mormon. But at the end of the day, you get to a point where you say, if I don't accept myself, no one will. That's the start. And it doesn't mean that every gay person that's coming out today has not gone through a journey of trying to find what you may call a cure, depending with their belief system. Try, and as I said earlier, apostori, church and so on. And we've even seen people posting on their platforms to say, cure. Those things have happened, we've heard them. But then there are some who say after that being posted, you find they are back in the community and say, because they've been taking me from one stage to the other with demonic body.
So to you it's not a demon, it's just
I don't think I'm just one of those variants within society.
Yeah.
I think some people say don't call us to watch it. We are simply saying in society, in the 13 million of Zimbabweans that are there, there's that little variance. So you would think we are taking over the world.
Itambudziko remuZimbabwe ramuri kuona kuti
itambudziko rinotoyaro kuti mufunge ndakakunzwa izvo zvitatopedza chirongwa nogona mwari tofuna ndakuonai muchitaura ndandi kutonetsekwa nazvo kuti chii chiri kundinetsa pamataura ndatoona kuti ndodambudziko randinaro ndibatsirei nokuti ndikataura kumhuri hapana anoteerera.
Saka kune vamwe vanoti ndere kuzvarwa naro kana kuti munhu anozodecide kuva ngochani chii chinoitika?
I think a lot of people that I've met, because I'm also a therapist, is that a lot of would say growing up I knew I was always different. This is something that I was in. And I've always knew ndakaundinenge pane chisina kunyatso kuti kwesere ndichitarisawo vamwe vandiri kutamba nawo ndichizobvunza nekutsvagurudza ndomboenda kunafata
izvozvo masainzi waka anobatsira ndeapo masainzi amaiona kuti apa kapa handisi kufila boa.
I think for a lot of people, they are the normal ones that a parent might look at. Someone would say a voice.
Okay.
Manari mkamkomana kadiki. Anogona ngari mkomana ngoti ai nanti dini ka voice kake. Anogona kuti zvanoda kutamba nazvo when you are expecting the boy to be playing with toys. Antonobvutira sister chidori. O anogona kuti pamwe wamusi ari mumba. Woman Africa kadress kasisi kemunin'ina wake they are just simply saying handisi kuda shuti yamuri kundipfekedza ndoda dress running. You get what I'm saying? So those are some of the little things that I sort of shared with others that were common among other people. But there are some who would simply say, when I then get to puberty where takuma form 1 form 2 kunokaskana kari kukunakidzawo. But for you, you don't feel like you're actually attracted to James.
Okay, so kuma form 1 go o level.
I wasn't interested, and I think I tried to get interested. And for those that know me, my friends in school, they'll tell you, maybe if I continue to date women, the way I feel will end. But along the way, I realize I'm actually, it's almost like the older I get and the more I'm more expressive of who I am, I could not relate to that woman.
So women to you, they don't even attract you?
Well, I can admire that beautiful women. They are beautiful, but I don't think it has any sexual connotation to it. Yes, they are beautiful women, but I've got friends who are really beautiful. But sexually, it's just not something that I'm attracted to. They can unstrip and I don't feel anything. As much as I tried.
No erection? Okay, let's go back to the comments. Say ati gurungo mombe imbwa huku nguruve hakuna zvakadaro kutorwara is a disgrace. That's say ati gurungo. Shane Gibson, 70% of gay people are very nice, down to earth people. They have their own way of doing things. I love them. I can't judge nekuti ininditori mutadzi muhombe. That's Shane Gibson. Owen Juaki, 1 Timothy 1 verse 1 to 12. Sanzi tizoiverenga iyoyo. Aizvaibvira waikwanisa kungoivhura tobva tangoiverenga. 1 Timothy 1 verse 1 to 12. Owen Juaki, thank you so much for your comment. I really want to go, but Oscar keeps on reading my comments. Zviri kundipasa manyemwe. Ega uri kunakirwa nechirongwa, and we salute you. Washandisa mabundles ako nemiwo mushandisa mabundles enyu. We love you so much. Thank you so much for supporting SlyMedia TV. Tandeka Amy T. Pugen, there is no sin greater than the other. Let people be who they are and not discriminate. I doubt if anyone's sexual orientation takes away anything from anyone. Afina Mafu, a lot of them being judgmental here are also gay, but they too are scared to come out. Now, as we wind up this discussion, how would you summarize this?
Well, I think that it's good that we had this conversation. The negative feedback that's coming from society, it's also premised out of ignorance. I think people should take time at some point or the other, if they can find somebody who comes out to them who is gay, to listen to their story and their journey. It's not an easy road. There are issues of suicidal ideation that still goes on in most people, because they feel I'm not wanted. What's going to be my life like? Who is going to accept me? And now a lot of people get anxious even as they get older to say, so those challenges come every day, and sometimes they open up to siblings and what we call coming out.
Okay, not
in this country. It's still illegal. If you look at our constitution, it says same-sex marriage is prohibited.
It's prohibited,
yeah,
isn't it?
Cannot get married.
And that's God created humans to engage in sex only with the arrangement of marriage between a male and a female. That's Genesis 1, 27 and 28. The Bible condemns sexual activity that is not between a husband and wife, whether it is homosexual or heterosexual conduct. 1 Corinthians 6, chapter 18. This includes intercourse, fondling another person's genitals, and engaging in oral or anal sex. Okay, that's God speaking there.
We will all be found wanting. That's why earlier on I said, whoever has no sin cast the first stone. When you look at what this caller or the comment that has actually come out, we are all engaging into that. Look at how many these days, because of social media, the sex tapes that are coming in. We are not even sleeping with our wives. How many small sagas that we've gone through. How many infidelities that have come through. If you look at our court statistics, 50% of marriages end up in divorce. It shows there's a lot that happens in society that we can be ignorant about. And I think that this conversation should actually be premised on a social discourse. Let's talk about what's happening in society, regardless of how discomfort we may feel or uncomfortable we might feel. I think this is what it's simply saying, that we should not judge anybody.
Then kune mwanamdiki or some young person is watching this program, he or she feels gay or being a lesbian. What should they do?
I think what we need to do, especially if they are young, is that parents should create a space where it allows their children to open up. Just the same way we are doing with, for instance, child abuse. I remember with my nieces and nephews, their own mothers and fathers sit down with them when they're quite young. Come and report. We started even when we were young, preschool child, we are teaching them to say, open up for something that might happen to you. And we are simply saying to parents who have young children, if they see that there's something wrong with the child, or they may suspect that the child might have a different gender, and they should create that room for a child to open up to a parent and say, Mama, because I went through that for years where I could not speak to anybody. And when I then finally spoke to my elder sister, she said to me, I'm listening, because I had got to a point where I actually wanted to take my life. And I even wrote her a letter to say, this is my last week on this earth because I'm done. I can't continue to have this confusion, because the friends that I used to hang out with were getting married, they were coming to my house showing me their girlfriends, and I had no inclination of that because of the family where we had the father figure who says, and if you want to talk about something, my mother, I was thinking, how do I tell my mother that I'm not getting aroused by a woman? It was so difficult, and I didn't have that support system. I ended up learning a lot of what I know then from friends, whether how to shave, how to think about what wet dreams are, and so forth. And I'm simply saying, in today's world where there's a lot of technology, you don't want your child to learn a lot of the information on social media, because a lot of them is misinformed. It's not true. We are also thinking about news that is false, which has become a world phenomenon. How do we create a space for parents and siblings and extended family where somebody is able to open up and say, I have an issue and I need your support? We should allow that. But sometimes you hear when a parent comes up with that, the first thing they say, it is demonic. And I heard a couple of words that keep coming up. It is satanism. It is satanism. The moment you do that, you block the conversation, you block them from coming out to say something. And that in itself leads them then to go and experiment and even get more into trouble with themselves. Whether they get HIV early because they didn't know what to think about themselves, or they abused and remain quiet. So I think we should create that space for dialogue within families.
Diana D, no vacation, Wandipeza Oscar. Thank you so much for your comment there. Gustavo Bailey, this is so sad by the way people are looking for a back itai beyond closed doors. Tafa Alo, a sick world we are living in. That's your comment there. Odua Richard, go and study African history. There's no record of gay or lesbianism. Would you want to answer that?
Well, I think with that you should visit the archives in Harare and read and dig in. Or if I want to make a reference to a book that you can, which actually make reference to the documents that are in those archives, is to look for a book that is called Hungochan or The Unspoken, which was actually produced by girls. We dig into those archives to read what is it about our history that is in there. What used to happen is how to deter or deal with it. For instance, kana kuri kwa sabuku kwaigononzi ripane mombe kana kuti ripane mbudzi waita makuna kuna munyika medu o mudunu redu. Those issues are there. Sodomy law actually came with the colonizers, because they realized that among our society, in all the places that they were going to, there were men that were also inclined, or women that were also practicing. And so forth, you know, those kind of things, who may look masculine and so forth and so forth. Those things are there. It's just that if you are not interested, you don't look for that information.
Very, very interesting. I'm smelling a new law for gays. Asi Vamgabe Vakazviramba. That's Edson Mufare show. No one has ever seen gay people make love in public. It's straight people going online to check gay porn. So who is weird here? Exactly. That's a comment coming from Mashi Wilkes and Arguseka. Edmoto Kwani ndichangosvika dai mangosiyana nayo nyaya iyi. Aiwa atikusiyana naye takutoipeta because wasvika takutopedza chirongwa tamu last segment. William Mafuti uri kunakirwa nechirongwa, you're just laughing. Thank you so much. Ishmael Mutapa, we can export you to the west, just messing. That's Ishmael Mutapa. Alex Brown, comments full of hatred, leave the gay community alone. That's Alex Brown. Ngaverenga Leviticus 20 verse 18. Tamboiverenga pano vakapindura nezvazvo. Jonathan Diamond, rudo rwekutsigira chakaipa chakarambwa naMwari, vanhu vakabuda pachena vachitaura izvi nekuti Mugaba hasisipo. Dai aivepo aikavhairirwa nhasi chaiye. Ngade kuchekesa ipapa.
Yeah, ndoda kutotaura kuti when you look at during Mugabe's era, I think the levels of tolerance of gay people actually improved during his time. If you are for those that are actually online, go to Google and look for girls and cases that have gone to the courts. It shows during Mugabe's time, we were raided, we were abused, we went to the courts, we challenged the position in terms of legality. We are legal citizens in this country. And he actually understands that. If you look at, for instance, Zimbabwe HIV strategic plan, which started around 1999 when we started HIV, 97, 99. If you look at that document, who signs it? It was the former head of state. He's the one who approves what goes in there. Men who have sex with men were actually part of the HIV interventions. And if you look at every other year when he signs it, Mugabe would not sign something that he doesn't read. He understood that this community exists regardless of his position. And like the commentators are saying, or the callers or our viewers are saying, they have a right to express an opinion. But as a leader, if you look at our current constitution as well, in the previous constitution, it says the president has a right to protect and respect and promote the rights of all citizens. It doesn't say straight citizens. It says all citizens who are Zimbabweans. I'm Zimbabwean. So they have a right to protect me as a citizen. Yes, there may be certain laws that hinder certain behavior. For instance, there's the Sexual Offences Act, which talks about consenting adults who have anal sex, for instance. It's still a crime, yes. But as a person, I can express my views and opinions.
Okay, so all this led to the formation of the association.
The association was actually formed before the hullabaloo against the LGBTI came into the fore. It was actually formed around 1990, and that's why I said it's been there for 29 years. Only it came into the public domain around 95 when girls went into the book fair, and that time the theme of the book fair was actually promoting human rights and democracy. So we thought this was a platform where we could also come in and participate, because at that time the book fair was a space where publications were coming out. We also wanted to present the publications of studies that were done around, do gay people exist, are they there, and so forth. And that's when I think the president, the former head of state, then indicated that he was unpleased by the position of us being there, and he calls us then pigs and dogs. But what then transpired after that, when we went to the court to challenge the dismissal of us presenting at the book fair, we actually won the case. And I think for the next 5 years after that, we were able to be at the book fair.
Now there's a comment coming from John Zanzi, please ndapotsa pamataura nyaya yeelection hanzi jekesa ipapo otaura nyaya yeelection pamati papa chiri mukadzi akakubata there's no election. Would you like to clarify?
Well, people vary in terms of sexuality. There are people, for instance, as I said earlier, who are bisexual, who are attracted both to men and women. They can perhaps get aroused by both men and women. I personally don't get aroused by women sexually.
Chiri mukadzi akakubatai, chiri akakukisai, nothing happens to you.
My God, I probably would cringe. That's just not who
Don't like
I
it.
am. It's the same question I might ask the caller. How would you feel if a man kisses you? Would you get aroused when they touch you?
Simbarashe hanzi iro zirume iri zibenzi kana kuti zimukadzi. That's your comment, Simbarashe. Rad pakade zanzi avazvide handisi kuramba asi ndiri kuti iwo kuzoita judge zvivi zvinoitwa nevamwe tinenge tagonei futi, so let us not be judgmental. That's Rad there. So Stanley is saying zanzi okay, tanzwa zvese zvamataura, imimi muri mukadzi here kana kuti muri murume, because ndikukudaiwo.
Inini ndiri murume.
Aya wataura pazvinhu zvacho
zvakaita sezvipi?
tongoti
panyaya dzebonde.
pabonde apo.
Well, panyaya dzebonde, I don't think it's about wamukadzi wamurume. Remember what I said in my earlier conversation. Because I'm gay, I don't feel I need to be a woman. That's why when I get into bed, I have to act like a woman. That's not how it works. I'm just a man who is attracted to men.
Okay. Okay, ndambonyaso kushandisa language yacho. Penetration inoitika kwamuri here kana kuti ndinenge muchita penetrate, ndozvaroda kuclarify.
Maybe ndoda kumbomubvunza kuti bonzesera anoita nemavidhiyo atakambona ari kulikwa aya, vanhu vari kungoramba vachingopenetrata here. Does everything has to be penetration?
Chitibatsirai manje, batsirai maviewers.
That's what I'm trying to correct. That don't always assume that everyone is having penetrative sex. Sex is a private issue. People express it differently. If you look at the way people think about its missionary position, but that's not what we are seeing in the leaked media platforms that are coming out with porn. People do a whole lot of things behind closed doors. So expect that when people of the same sex engage in that, they also have other ways of expressing themselves. I think one of the viewers actually commented and said, a lot of us are going to watch gay porn. If there was a study, I think, that came out a couple of months ago, that actually realized that a lot of straight men and women are actually watching gay porn. And I always wonder, what's the curiosity? Perhaps it's something that is a homework for him.
Viewers, let me just take this time to salute you for taking your time, being part of this very informative episode of Talking Everything with Oscar. We would like to say thank you so much to the programs manager with Girls Association, that's Mr. Samuel Mutsunguri. Ameno, mashoko kupesera to the viewers, locally, regionally, and internationally.
What I want to say is something that Voltaire, a French philosopher, once said. He said, I disapprove of what you say, but I'll defend to death your right to say it. You may disapprove everything that we may have said and share as citizens, as individuals, as people coming from social different background, political space. But as long as we are human as we are, we have to defend each other. We have to protect each other. We have to respect the right to life. And I'm simply saying, as Zimbabweans, as intolerant as we may be, for us to change the development that we even desire and are calling out today, is because we are not creating a space for tolerance and development. And I'm saying, as a gay community, we are willing to put in our time and develop this country, regardless of our sexual orientation.
From the executive producer, that's Silvester Tafumane, as well as the entire production team, my name is Oscar Pambuka. Until we meet again right here on SlyMedia, remember, it's all about building bridges.
But as we close, I've also seen or read in the newspapers that there are some people who are leaving your party. Why?
We live stream news press conferences as it happens.
We always last longer because we are revolutionaries, we are guerrillas. And today we have proved that we last longer. These neophytes who were using a marriage certificate of a married woman and a senior old man to try to take power.
Our engagement with ZEC, which is very clear, that ZEC has shown that they are not willing to be open to dialogue. They are stubborn and arrogant. They are opaque in their processes.
We have the capacity to live stream debates from